gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's the 17th of April, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news on the day. Matt Shodell is not going to do a single annoying thing this entire week at CaneSport.com, and that's because he's too damn busy to do anything annoying. We had transfer portal day 1 yesterday, and it's kind of funny, Matt, because I kept reading around the internet, people saying, what an uneventful transfer portal. There's nothing going on. There's nobody any good in the portal. And that was after, we had been sitting there grinding for about 12 hours, chasing down every single lead that we could on players leaving, players who might be coming, all for the sake of bringing you guys, our loyal subscribers, the cutting edge information on what's going on in the portal. I hope we were successful on day 1. Matt, let's start with the guys leaving first, because that's, honestly where the clearest picture is. And we have said all along, we're expecting 10, 11, 12, maybe as many as 13 departures. Right now, as of yesterday, there were 5 that were pretty crystal clear. There was obviously already been Henry Parrish and Nigel Kelly, but new names, Logan Sagapolo, he processed everything in the portal. Trevante Sisson, he processed everything in the portal. And Jakari Brown was telling everybody that he was in the portal when he wasn't really in the portal, but that was well on its way to all being processed. And he is going to be leaving Miami as well, barring something crazy happening. So there will be more. There will be several more probably coming as early as today. And Matt, we saw this pretty much coming. I mean, this is a different college football world. If you're like, let's take these individual situations, and they are really all different. Nigel Kelly had been hurt, was underperforming before he got hurt. We were hearing whispers that wasn't really working that hard in his rehab and things like that. And there was just a general unhappiness with him. And so not a total surprise that he was in the portal. I mean, maybe a little bit of one, but so that was that one set of circumstances. That's an example of a guy that's just not doing enough of all the right things, and other guys are coming in and passing him by. Henry Parrish wasn't very happy when he saw how much he was going to have to share the rock here in his final college football season. He fled for the portal. We think he's going back to Ole Miss. And, he went for a situation of playing time and opportunity to show off his skills as he gets ready to try to go to the National Football League, which we know here is probably not going to happen at his size, but he's a kid. It's been his dream his whole life. You can't knock him for wanting a situation where maybe he could be a little bit more featured, so to speak, than he would be here at Miami, sharing the load with several different guys. And so he's off to the portal, and we think he's going to end up at Ole Miss. Logan Sagapolo came here with Mario Cristobal a couple years ago, did great things in the weight room, couldn't get it done on the field, undersized. Miami has done an exceptional job of recruiting the offensive line position, and Logan Sagapolo was never going to play here, had no chance to play. It was time, for him to leave. And I'm sure that was a tough one for Mario Cristobal, because Sagapolo was this guy from Oregon. He had recruited at Oregon, had come with him to Miami. But you just don't have the luxury in today's college football world where everybody's getting paid to carry a guy like that has no chance to play. So it was time for him to leave. Jakari Brown buried on the depth chart. We've spoken about him for years. To all of the haters out there who have given me so much grief the last couple years, totally out of line. There was nobody looking at him as anything other than just another player on the team. And I was giving you guys an honest assessment of what I thought. And I didn't think he would ever make it at Miami. And now he's headed to the portal. And I do think he has a chance to make it somewhere else. And Matt, I want to talk about that with you in a minute, because I really do think he does have a chance to make it in a place where they will build an offense around his talents and what he can do as opposed to what he can't do, which wasn't going to happen here because the skill players are better. You have an offensive coordinator who has a set system. He's not building around one guy. That's not fair to the other quarterbacks. Not fair to all the other kids on offense. But there are teams out there that don't have as much talent as Miami. And I think if Jakari Brown goes about this the right way and does a good job of picking his destination, that he can have a chance to have some success at the college level. We'll talk a little bit about that. Trevante Citizen came in with high hopes and a big NIL deal, okay? And just never got a chance to fulfill his promise. Got hurt very early, horrible injuries. Still doesn't really look right to me. I mean, he was out there practicing this spring. Didn't have a whole lot of burst. It wasn't going to happen. I knew he would end up in the portal. Thank you to those on our message boards that gave me kudos for being right about that. But I'll be honest, it wasn't really that hard to have that opinion. I just didn't see how he was going to fit. I knew they were going to go looking for a running back in the portal, and he was making way too much money in NIL. And, we see Miami investing in NIL and going out into the portal and looking for guys to fortify the roster. But that's not all necessarily going to be new money. You might spend $1 million or $2 million, but you got to lose $1 million over here, while you're at it. And that's part of what's going on here too. Jakari as a quarterback was probably getting a decent NIL deal. Trevante Citizen, I know, had a decent NIL deal. I know Nigel E. Kelly had a decent NIL deal. I'm not sure about Henry Parrish, but the point is they're clearing cap space as well as clearing roster spots. So there will be more here for sure. How many more, we don't know, because we're not sure right now how good of a crop of players are in the portal. And, so Matt, I want to talk to you about all of these things. And so let's start with Jakari Brown. Never could throw the ball accurately enough. We saw it from the beginning. I wouldn't say it was anywhere close to being Tate Martell bad. And, you guys that have been with us for a while, that from day one that we watched Tate Martell, we talked about how Tate Martell was not going to ever play quarterback for Miami. It was so blatantly obvious. He's airmailing the easiest passes in the world on the practice field. There was no chance he was ever going to be a Miami quarterback. Jakari was not to that degree. Jakari would make a great throw every now and then. You saw him make a great throw in the spring game on Saturday on that one deep pass, and everyone's all excited. Man, did you see Jakari? Whatever. But we would see that from time to time as well. But then we'd see 10 that you just shook your head and just knew that it just wasn't going to work out for Jakari at quarterback at Miami. But Matt, the point I was making earlier is I think if he gets to the right school with the right coach, the right offensive coordinator that's willing to build an offense around what he does well, his ability to run the football, which is unquestioned, that maybe Jakari can still have a nice 3-year college football career somewhere.
Maybe he'll transfer back to Miami in a year. This is what's so sad about the portal. Like, Jakari Brown is the epitome of everything that's wrong with college football now, because he loved the Miami Hurricanes. He could have transferred. People said last year he could transfer. Every semester, it seems like for the last 3 semesters, Jakari's going to transfer. He never transferred because he wanted to be at Miami. He loved Miami. In the old days, he would have stuck it out at Miami and just, it is what it is. He would have taken his lumps, whatever it is. And that's what college football used to be. Guys that loved their program, that would give whatever it took to be a great teammate. And he was a great teammate at Miami. And now it's just like against his will, goodbye. We don't have room for you anymore. I think Jakari would still be here if he felt he had a chance to compete. They basically made it clear to him, you will never play here for us, and we need your spot. And, when you, it's like when you go when you go and get called into the the meeting with with Mario Cristobal, it's probably like, trying to view a solar eclipse. You want to come in and not really look directly at the man. You might go blind, because he's probably there to tell you that you got to leave. Logan Sagapolu and Henry Parrish were promised the world when they were, Logan Sagapolu was a second-year guy that was recruited by Mario at Oregon, who had a very bright future at Oregon. Had he stayed, but Mario convinced him, no, come with me. I'll make you you're going to be great at Miami. And then look what happened. Henry Parrish followed his running backs coach to Miami, but Mario was as much a part of that as anything. Come to Miami, Henry, you're going to be the guy, da-da-da. And then they just kept looking for something better because we all knew that Henry was okay, but not great. And kudos to Mario for wanting a great team. But let's face it, Jakari Brown is the face of college football being dead. If you're a fan of what college football was 10 years ago, Jakari Brown is the epitome of what you loved about the game being dead. Because if you're not good enough anymore and you love your university as a player, as a student athlete, they will not keep you. And if you get paid too much money in NIL and you're just an average player, they will not keep you. There is no more loyalty on either end. This is professional football on steroids. This is, constant free agency. I heard the other day that actually a referee came up with a portal system. His name, I think, is Terry Porter. Because this system is as bad as that call he made in the championship game. It makes no sense. First of all, why is there a 2-week window? Like, what's the rush? Why 2 weeks? That makes no sense in itself. It's like somebody just arbitrarily said, all the coaches want to go on vacation, in May and June and July, or who knows what, get to work with their team. I guess I understand that the first summer enrollment period is in May, but you can enroll in the college of your choice up until August, whatever. Like, I don't understand the arbitrariness of signing day. It has to be this day. That's when it starts, the signing period, and it's a short signing period. The first portal window has to be these 2 weeks. It has to be this period of time, which, by the way, last year was a ridiculous period of time, right when the bowl games were being played. So everyone was opting out. The whole system is so screwed up. So anyway, I wanted to take this opportunity to announce I am starting the Matt Shodell NCAA Football League. Any players who want to play for free, just call me up, and I will create teams for you, and we'll get a huge USPN contract because ESPN will not televise your games, unfortunately, but USPN will. I haven't formed that network yet, but I will. And you know what? I would actually rather watch the players that call me on USPN than cover what I'm covering right now, which is a travesty, an embarrassment for college football. I mean, literally, we're reaching out to guys. Hey, did you hear from Miami? Yeah, I heard from Miami. Hey, are you interested in Miami? Sure, I'm interested. I'm interested in everybody. Jacoby Matthews. I'm interested in every school in the country is what he tells us. And by the way, this is the tip of the iceberg. This transfer portal window, I still don't think that players have understood, and maybe the agents don't want to do all the work, but I don't think players have necessarily understood the opportunity, because every top player in the country should be in the portal by tomorrow. Every top player in the country. Why not? They can still go back to their previous team. The previous team's not going to tell a star player, you know what? No, we're good. You already went in the portal. See you later. Like, it makes no sense for Marion Hampton, for any player who's amazing, to stay at their team and stay with their teams. Like, it's called free agency. Would an NFL guy who's a free agent, a free agent every single year, would he just say, okay, I'm just going to re-sign without testing the free agent market if they had a great year? It just doesn't make any sense. And because that school's negotiating against nobody, because hypothetically, no other school can present an offer to that student athlete until they're in the portal. And if you do, it's called tampering. And you probably get reported, the school, because the original school, if the kid goes back to the original school, he reports to that school, hey, so-and-so, Alabama, Ohio State, whatever, they offered me this much money, that much money, and then those schools get reported. And if the student athlete has a recording of that school's on probation. So there are dangerous areas for schools to tamper. So again, if that student athlete doesn't go in the portal, never finds out his true value, and just stays with his school, you're not having any competing bids. I don't understand why every top student athlete, I shouldn't say student athlete, every top athlete, they're not students anymore, every top athlete, sorry, the professionals. I don't know why every top athlete's not in the portal right now. They all should be, especially with unlimited transfers, 2-time transfers, blah, 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 blah. Some guys are now looking for the third transfer spot in 3 years. One guy got to his school on the West Coast and said, I'm a little homesick, and he's already transferred. He's a true freshman, just got there. I want to go back to Clearwater. This is what we're dealing with now. And, this is literally, like I'm telling you guys, it's going to get a lot worse. This is still people figuring it out. This is the second portal window of 2 weeks. This is still a novelty for a lot of agents and players. It's going to be even crazier. Wait 5 or 10 years from now. I'm telling you right now, every top athlete is going to realize, hey, everybody should be in the portal. And it's just going to be a disaster. And top coaches are going to quit because it's not worth dealing with it after you made your $10 million a year salary. I don't know. I've gone on long enough. It's just, I don't even want to talk about the portal anymore, quite honestly. It's just super aggravating as a reporter to see what used to be and now what is. And I know that it's great for student athletes to get money, but there's got to be another way to do this. This is ridiculous.
All right. Well, I exercised a lot of discipline there. I did not interrupt you.
You did. I was trying to get you to interrupt, but I was very disappointed in you.
Yeah, make note of that. But we are going to keep talking about the portal because you did say a couple things that I do want to throw out some conflicting thoughts. Every football player at Miami. Now, I'm not going to say every football player in college football because I don't know what's going on at every school, but every football player at Miami right now is getting a paycheck, and I'm not sure what the baseline is. But if I were to guess, I'm sure it's at least like 25 grand, 30 grand, somewhere in there. Okay. I'll try to do some homework on that. And so I could talk more knowledge of specifics, but they're all getting paid. Okay. And they all have NIL deals. So I think that if you took a poll of all of the football players, and I'm just going to use Miami because that's what we're talking about here. That's what I cover. Would they trade not getting a check for a better system? I don't think there's one of them that would say, I'll give up my check for a better system. Okay, that's the first thing I'll throw out there. Now, the calendar, no argument. It's pretty silly. I mean, like you said, why does it have to be condensed in a couple weeks? On one hand, it does give some control to the situation, to what is inarguably an out of control situation.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you there because what's unfair about it, by the way, if you're a graduate, you can go in the portal whenever. It's only the kids who, God forbid, haven't graduated. The whole thing's so dumb. Anyway, go ahead.
But I mean, they're giving them open transfer capability, which is like wild. I mean, kids can come and go from schools anytime they want, which is very difficult on the coaches. But with all the little quirks in this NIL system that was really all thrown together on the fly. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there was no extended planning for the introduction of NIL into college football. It was just, hey, this is legal now. Kids are going to get paid. And it was the wild, wild west all over the place. But yes, it could be tweaked. It could be changed. It could be reconfigured. I personally think at some point it will have reform. I'm not sure that the current way that this is all happening is sustainable. I agree with you on that regard, Matt. But it is a system that allows these kids to get compensated for what they bring to the table in creating a college football product that generates millions on top of millions on top of millions of dollars for TV networks, for schools, for people out on the periphery. It's a massive enterprise where a lot of people benefit. And yes, these players, they deserve to benefit too. And, look, you're going to take the $1.52 million away from Cam Ward, who put his dreams of going to the pros aside for a year because he was able to get a good NIL deal with Miami and use it to now try to parlay it into an even better NFL long-term deal by improving his skill level with better players around him, which is, looks like it will happen here at Miami this year. No, you're not going to take that away from Cam Ward. You're not going to take away those paychecks from all these kids. My only wish is I hope the kids are getting to keep their money. I hope that their handlers are not taking money from them. I hope their parents are not taking money from them. I hope their agents, that they deserve to get compensated, but not a whole hell of a lot, because agents aren't doing a ton of work in this NIL situation. The money's pretty much falling into their lap. Okay, when it comes to the money they're getting from the school. Now, if they go get extra deals out there in the community and things like that, yes, they deserve a bigger commission. I just hope that the people around these kids are not taking all their money. I really do. And I'm not convinced that that's what's really happening. It's a concern of mine, just on a human level. But I don't think any of these kids would forfeit their checks for a better system. That's the first thing I'll say. The calendar can use some tweaks, but I'm not sure you're ever going to find a perfect calendar. Now, as for what you said about Jakari Brown, listen, yeah, I'm sure that meeting with Mario was tough. No argument. But the reason it was tough, most likely, was because Mario is honest and direct, and he doesn't BS his players. Okay, if you're not good enough, he's straight going to tell you, listen, you're not good enough to play here. Let's try to find you someplace where you can go and have a better chance to play. We cannot keep you here. We need your spot. We need your NIL slot. But let's try to find you someplace where maybe you can go play your last year or two of college football, whatever it might be. So Mario's going to be direct and he's going to be honest. And as a player like Jakari, I don't think you could ask for any more than that. A coach who is not BSing you to try to get you to stay because it might make his team a little bit better. It might make his quarterback position a little deeper. No, he's telling you you're number 4 on the depth chart, and you're almost number 5. I mean, I'm not convinced Judd Anderson is that far behind him, with all respects to that horrific interception he threw in the spring game. I'm not convinced that he is that far behind, and by fall, maybe wouldn't be equal or greater to Jakari. So I think they've done right by Jakari. They gave him 2 years to try to develop. There was some improvement for sure, but every time somebody's coming into the program, they're already better. Reef Poppenberger comes in, he's number 2. Emory Williams coming back from the injury, he was already number 2 last year ahead of Jakari. So now he's number 3. Like Jakari's not beating out anybody. Okay, so they're doing him a favor, because I do think, like I said, that he might be able to go to a different program where they're more willing to build around him and put him in a better situation where he could succeed with the skill set that he does have. And I hope that happens for him. He's a great young man. He's potentially a great leader in the right situation, and hope things work out well for him. Hope things work out well for Citizen, and that he's able to continue regaining the skills that he had before his horrible injuries. Hope Henry Parrish finds everything he's looking for, assuming he goes back to Ole Miss. Nigel Leak, you had a chance to play in your hometown. You got a great NIL deal coming in the door. It was your responsibility to do the right things. You will get a second chance when you do. I hope he makes the most of it in a little bit better way than he did here. Logan Sagapolu, just think about the education, my man. I'm not sure you're going to be a major college football player, and that is okay. You're certainly probably not going to be an NFL football player, and that is okay. Think about the education that you've gotten. I hope you've graduated and can now build off of that and go on and have a great life. So happily lives ever after, Matt, for everybody in this land of the transfer portal and NIL. So far, at least, that's departing Miami. So now, we're watching all this evolve yesterday. We're covering it for you guys, but we're trying to figure out who the heck's coming here too. And, listen, there was a point very early in the day where Matt flat got pissed at me. Okay. He was snapping at me. He was demanding that I stop sending him texts. I'm sitting there working the transfer portal, trying to figure out who's coming to Miami. He's telling me to shut the hell up, leave him alone. Please let him do his work in peace and find something better to do than worry about who's coming here from the transfer portal. And you know what? I probably could have found something better to do, but we were able to bring you guys a pretty extensive assortment of stories here that kind of gives you a feel of what's going on in the portal. And before all this started yesterday, we talked a little bit about how Miami is going to be targeting talent here in the second portal window with all these departures to come. So we're looking for the talent, and we're not finding a ton of it right now. And I don't know if that's because everybody that's going to go in the portal is not yet in the portal. I got to believe that to some degree that's the case. Now that the portal's open, their agents can start putting out feelers a little bit around the country to different programs, behind the scenes. Hey, if my guy were in the portal, would you be interested in him, and at what level do you think? And then the kid can decide if he wants to go through the process of leaving his current school. Yeah, that's called tampering to a degree if schools are participating in that. Trust me, everybody's participating in that now. There's a lot of give and take and conversations going on behind the scenes. So last week we talked about Oregon State's Damian Martinez. Without question, Miami's number one target is going to be Miami's number one target in the portal. He is slated. He put out a visit list that I believe had 5 schools, and I'm going to pull it up here while I'm talking about him. But he is the most in-demand player right now in the portal because he's got the best talent of everybody in the portal, and he is slated to visit Miami. Let's see. Let me find that if I can here. He is slated to visit Miami April 25th to the 27th. He's going to Arizona the 17th and 18th, which is this week. Then he's going to Mississippi State early next week, the 19th, 20th. He's going to Tennessee 21st, 22nd, Kentucky the 23rd, 24th, and his worldwide tour will end in Miami April 25th to the 27th. I went out on the limb. I opened myself up to some of the guys on the board to come at me a little bit, but I went on a limb. I said, I think he's going to be a Miami Hurricane. You can book it. Okay. And I don't usually make that dramatic of pronouncements and, on the board. I try to low key it a little bit, but when I heard this kid was going to be in the portal, and I already knew that Miami was going to be looking for a running back, and I looked at his tape and saw the kind of player he is and the style that he plays with, I'm like, this is a perfect marriage. This kid's coming to Miami. And you add the fact that his agent lives in Miami and works for a Miami-based firm. I mean, I still, as we sit here, believe that Damian Martinez will be a Miami Hurricane. So he'll be visiting the 25th to the 27th. We also have a story on the website that you guys can check out on a center from USC. Miami had recruited him in the past. He went to USC. Now he's in the portal. He has Miami on his short list of schools in which he is interested. I'm expecting that interest to be reciprocal, and that is Jason Zandamela, a very high-quality center prospect from USC. I think there's a great chance that Miami ends up getting him out of the portal here as well. And then from there, we were kind of grasping a little bit, to be honest with you. This cornerback at Marshall, Deani Hill, he says Miami's in consideration, and he makes sense because he's played with both Lance Guidry and Travis Jackson at Marshall, and they're familiar with him. He's familiar with the system. Makes a lot of sense for Hill to come to Miami. But Matt, I'm going to bring you into this conversation here because this is the type of transfer that drives you out of your mind. And Marshall had a decent pass defense and all that. And yeah, Hill was a starter last year for that good pass defense. But is he necessarily better than what, than what's already here? I'm not so convinced of that,
People want to talk about my free agents. The only free agent that I've seen being talked about in relation to Miami as of now is the running back, and that's it. So, I mean, I don't want to talk down about any kids, but just Martinez, that's the only one that I think would come in and just be a surefire starter. I mean, if you want a guy who can come in and maybe compete to start with what they already have, sure, a bunch of the other guys can do that. If that's for you, that's for you. It's not for me.
The defensive end, the Pitt, Dayon Hayes. We got a story about him on the website.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. He could make a contribution. Defensive lineman at Rutgers, Renee Congo. We have a story on him. He's got some interest in Miami. I'm not sure that he's necessarily moves the needle in terms of getting better. Romello Height, a defensive end. I assume it's either him or Hayes. I'd be surprised if they took both. He's had a pretty mellow college football career to this point. I'm not sure that he necessarily moves the needle that much. We spoke to legend Carvajos, a cornerback from North Carolina. Miami recruited him a little bit out of high school. I'm not sure about him as well. The only other one actually that we think that there's some mutual interest is the safety from Texas A&M, Jacoby Matthews. And we have a story on him on the website today. I think Matthews and Martinez and Zandamela would be what Matt Shodell would call free agents. I think those would be quality pickups. Those three guys would be quality pickups. The other ones, I'm not sure. And it'll be interesting to see if they're able to uncover some other guys. I have a feeling they will, that there'll be other candidates. These are just the ones that we were successful in sleuthing out yesterday on day one of the portal. And we'll be back at it. We'll keep our ears to the wall and our fingers on the keyboards and keep mining the portal for talent that's interested in Miami. But you could see why people around the country were basically yawning at what the transfer portal was bringing in this round, because there wasn't a lot of marquee action out there, which means schools are doing a better job of keeping their players, having proper NIL programs. And again, that's a win-win for the athletes. So, we'll be covering it more for you and talking more about it. But if you want to get caught up on day one of the transfer portal, you have a lot of material to dive into on the website. All right, a couple of other things that are on the website this morning. We have our Miami Hurricanes Spring Awards on the site today. And Matt, you were the pilot of that for the most part. And talk a little bit about the fun. Like, it's kind of like a fun exercise every single spring, just coming up with different awards and giving them to guys. We don't want to give away the whole story, but maybe pick out your two favorite awards for this year.
All right, my favorite award is Best Future Player, Best Future Miami Hurricane, Jakari Brown. That was one of the awards. Listen, this is nobody should read this story. It's stupid. Don't read the story. Let's move on.
Come on, man. What were your two favorite?
I guess the most fun spring matchup to watch, Powell against Restrepo, and we talked about that.
It was fun to watch.
And then the guys that have to step up more. That's there's two guys, both on defense, and if both those guys don't step up, then they're gonna have problems. That's my personal opinion, and I'll give it away. C.J. Clark and Mish Powell. Those are my two guys. If those two guys just fade into the background like they did most of the spring, this defense is going to have some problems.
That's fair. I mean, they need.
Of course it's fair.
Yeah, it is fair. They do.
Of course it's fair. Look at this. This screams fairness.
No, it does. I agree. And I think Clark is going to be a good player. But you're right. From what we were able to see, was he jumping off the practice field? No. I think he was solid. I mean, I don't think they'd give him back to NC State. And I think he could be a very good player this fall. But I would agree with you. He does need to be better than just okay, because you got to be able to take advantage of, Ruben Bain and Mesador on the outside. And to do that, you need tackles inside. They're going to tie up blockers and free those guys up to do what they do. And Clark is a big part of that. No question about it. We have our best guess depth charts, offense and defense, on the website. You guys can check them out. But in fairness, we would be the first to admit that those are going to change here as they go through the portal, bring in some other guys, and all those guys that miss spring practice get healthy. So there's going to be some depth chart movement, but we know that coming out of spring that you guys have interest in just how the team's lining up. So we put that together for you this morning as well. We also have a story coming at you about a 7-foot center who visited the basketball program this week. So check that one out. We think there's a decent chance that he could end up being a Miami Hurricane. We also speak to the coach of 4-star tight end commit, Brock Schott. This guy is a hell of a get for Miami, and his coach talks a little bit about him. You definitely want to make sure that you check that story out as well. But that's going to do it for this morning for Good Morning CaneSport. Again, we hope you guys are enjoying our transfer portal coverage. We'll be back at it today, and we will see who else comes out into the portal and who else might be replacing them. If you're on YouTube right now, you like this show, like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come on over to our website and join our community of fans. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every single day, even if it means I'm annoying Matt. It's still going to productive use. And I was guilty yesterday of annoying the crap out of him because I was fired up, man. It was transfer portal day. I was looking for.
I got news for you. I got news for you, Ferman. It wasn't just yesterday.
Hey, just remember one thing, okay? And that's this.
All right, together. You need to whip his ass.
Whose ass?
Shodell was
Yes.
terrible.
Yeah. Hey, bring your A game, baby.
That's
I'm going to
great.
play that every show. I'm going to play that every show, just so you remember what the people out there that are watching think, just to keep you a little.
Wait till you see. I'm going to give those same exact guys a better NIL deal when I see them. See what they're going to say about you. All right, wait for that.
I could only imagine. All right. Well, thank you for starting out your day with us, everybody, and we will see you next time.